Cold open. I stand in my kitchen, new prescription in one hand, grapefruit salad on the counter in the other. I pause, and the thought hits me. Could this bright, delicious salad quietly change how my medication works? That tiny moment, confusion, worry, and the simple desire to keep cooking and eating well brought us here today.
And the good news is there are clear, practical rules. Today, we're making choices that keep flavor and safety together. We've invited a clinical pharmacist and a primary care clinician to walk us through the most common interaction types. Then we'll cook a medication-friendly one-pot dinner you can try at home.
Welcome back to Earthy Remedy. I'm Samnong Bradley, your guide for simple, nourishing remedies. Let me say up front, this episode is safety first. We don't change or stop medications on our own. Instead, we translate interactions into kitchen swaps and timing rules so you can ask your pharmacist the right questions. Hello, Fiona.
Hi, everyone. I'm Fiona Thompson. Today, we'll break down 3 everyday categories where food and herbs can change a drug's effect: absorption changes, enzyme interactions, think grapefruit and some herbs, and nutrient antagonism, like vitamin K and certain blood thinners. We'll keep things culinary and conservative, and we've put a clinician-reviewed interaction checklist in the show notes.
And we're joined by Dr. Maya Patel, clinical pharmacist, and Dr. Luis Moreno, a primary care clinician who works with people managing multiple meds. Maya, Luis, welcome.
Thank you both. Grateful to be here. I want listeners to know my first goal is to reduce anxiety around food and meds. There are some real interactions to be mindful of, but most people can keep enjoying flavorful cooking with a few simple rules. And from the clinic side, I see confusion all the time. Patients hear one thing online and feel afraid to eat anything. Our aim is practical: preserve pleasure, reduce risk, and make sure people know the red flags that need immediate clinical attention.
Segment 1. Why food and meds mix? Let's make the science friendly. First, absorption. Some medicines are absorbed better with food, especially fatty meals, and some need an empty stomach to work properly. Picture your stomach as a gate. Food can open it wider or close it tighter for different meds. Second, enzyme interactions. Your liver and gut have enzymes called CYPs. They act like kitchen blenders for drugs. Grapefruit juice and a few herbs change how those blenders work, so the medicine can stay in your system longer or get cleared too fast. Third, nutrient antagonism. Some foods change nutrient levels that certain drugs rely on. A classic example is vitamin K and warfarin. Leafy greens can change how the medicine does its job if intake swings widely.
Maya, could you map those to common drug classes so listeners can tell if this might matter for them?
Absolutely. For absorption, some antibiotics and thyroid meds work best on an empty stomach. Others, like certain blood pressure meds, may be okay with food. For enzyme interactions, certain statins, calcium channel blockers, and some psychiatric medications are sensitive to grapefruit and St. John's wort. For nutrient antagonism, warfarin is the main one for vitamin K, and certain diuretics can affect potassium. We list common classes and examples in the checklist so listeners can match theirs safely. If you're on immune-suppressing drugs, anticoagulants, or drugs with narrow therapeutic windows, these are high risk. Don't experiment without a pharmacist check. If you ever see signs like sudden bruising, unexpected bleeding, severe dizziness, or new palpitations after a dietary change, contact your clinician right away.
Bridge. Before our cook-along, here's a quick prep checklist. 1 medium pot, a wooden spoon, measuring cups or kitchen scale, a cutting board, and the ingredient swaps we'll read in a moment. Also pull up the downloadable interaction checklist and timing chart in our show notes.
Segment 3. Practical categories and swaps. Rule 1. Timing. If your medication label says take on an empty stomach, keep a 1 to 2 hour window before or after a full meal, unless your pharmacist advises otherwise. If it says take with food, include a small healthy fat if absorption is fat dependent. Think a teaspoon of olive oil or a slice of avocado.
Rule 2. Avoid or replace. Grapefruit and grapefruit juice are the easy big name avoid for certain meds. Replace grapefruit with orange, apple, or a citrus you know is safe after checking. Avoid St. John's wort as an herb if you're on antidepressants, some birth controls, or transplant meds. There are low-risk alternatives like lemon balm or chamomile, depending on the goal. Rule 3. Watch vitamin-rich greens. If you take warfarin, be consistent with high vitamin K foods, kale, collards, spinach. You don't have to avoid them, but keep serving steady week to week. Your INR tests will tell us how steady you are.
Rule 4. Low-risk herb alternatives. If you normally reach for a St. John's wort or a strong herbal mix, try culinary substitutes: rosemary, oregano, thyme, ginger, turmeric in low amounts. They add flavor and mood support without the same enzyme risks in most cases. Still check with your pharmacist if you're on meds with narrow windows.
Okay, let's cook. Segment 4. Medication-friendly one-pot dinner. I'll read the ingredients slowly. Pause between each so you can write them down. We'll include substitutions for common medication concerns as we go. Ingredient list. Serves 4. 1 tablespoon olive oil. 1 medium yellow onion, thinly sliced. 3 cloves garlic, minced. 1 cup short grain brown rice. 1.5 cups low sodium vegetable or chicken broth. 1 can 15 ounces of chickpeas, drained and rinsed. 2 medium carrots diced. 1 red bell pepper chopped. 1 teaspoon ground turmeric. 1 teaspoon ground cumin. 1 teaspoon smoked paprika. Salt and pepper to taste. A handful of chopped parsley for garnish, and optional, 1 small avocado, sliced for topping.
Substitutions to be mindful of. If you're on a statin that's grapefruit sensitive, skip grapefruit or tart citrus toppings. If you're on warfarin, avoid swapping parsley for large servings of kale. Stick with low to moderate vitamin K herbs like parsley, but keep portion consistency and tell your clinician. If you're on meds that require low potassium diets, skip the avocado.
A quick note on portions and timing. This recipe produces 4 servings. If your medication direction suggests taking with food, take your dose with a standard serving, about 1/4 of the pot, so absorption is predictable. If the med needs an empty stomach, allow 2 hours after eating before taking it, or take it with a minimal snack only if your pharmacist advises.
Equipment check. 1 medium pot with a lid, a wooden spoon, measuring cups, and a can opener. Step by step now. Step 1. Heat 1 tablespoon olive oil in the pot over medium heat. You should see a thin shimmer, but no smoke. Step 2. Add the sliced onion and a pinch of salt. Sauté for 4 to 5 minutes until the onion becomes translucent and the edges start to caramelize. You'll smell that sweet, savory aroma.
Step 3. Add the minced garlic, diced carrots, and chopped bell pepper. Stir for about 1 minute until the garlic is fragrant. Don't let it burn. It should be golden but not brown.
Step 4. Add the 1 cup brown rice and toast it with the vegetables for about 1 minute. You'll hear a gentle sizzle and smell a nutty note. This step protects the texture so it doesn't turn mushy. Step 5. Pour in 1.5 cups low-sodium broth. Add the drained chickpeas and stir in turmeric, cumin, and smoked paprika. Bring to a gentle boil, then reduce heat to low and cover. Simmer for 25 to 30 minutes until the rice is tender and the liquid is absorbed.
Step 6. Once the rice is tender, remove the pot from heat and let it sit covered for 5 minutes. Then fluff with a fork. This resting time helps flavors settle and makes portioning easier and more consistent for medication timing.
Step 7. Serve 1 standard portion, about 1/4 of the pot, topped with a sprinkle of chopped parsley and, if desired and if your meds allow, a few slices of avocado. Taste, season with salt and pepper slowly, and enjoy.
Storage and serving tips. Refrigerate leftovers in a sealed container for up to 3 days. Reheat gently on the stove with a splash of broth so it doesn't dry. If you take a medication that's best with food, make a habit of having the same portion size when you take the dose to keep absorption consistent.
Variations. Swap chickpeas for cooked lentils if you need lower sodium protein, or add a cup of chopped low vitamin K greens like romaine for extra crunch.
Again, keep portion sizes steady if you're on warfarin. For herb swaps, instead of parsley, try a little cilantro if that works with your meds.
How to test safely. We recommend a 2-week single-change micro-trial. Pick one habit to adjust, say swapping grapefruit for an orange at breakfast. Track any symptoms, and if you're on high-risk meds, check in with a pharmacist within the first week. If you see anything unexpected, new bleeding, dizziness, palpitations, stop the change and contact your clinician. To track time you took meds, what and how much you ate, any symptoms, and any other supplements you used. Use a simple journal or the downloadable chart. This makes conversations with your clinician much faster and more useful.
Segment 6, Communication Scripts. Maya, can you give listeners a couple of exact lines to use when they call their pharmacy or clinician?
Yes, short scripts help. For the pharmacist, hi, I'm taking medicine, 10 milligrams daily, and I'm planning to start food. Does this change how the medicine works or its timing? For the clinician, I'd like to discuss whether adding herb or food is safe with my current meds. Could we review interactions and whether I need monitoring? If you want to give more info, add the medicine dose and the times you take it.
And a short checklist. 1. One change at a time. 2. Track timing and symptoms. 3. Check with a pharmacist for enzyme interactions. 4. Keep vitamin-rich foods consistent if you're on anticoagulants. We've made this into a printable checklist and a mealtime timing chart in the show notes.
Mitigations and red flags reminder. Do not stop or reduce doses without clinician approval. If you're on narrow therapeutic window meds, warfarin, some antiepileptics, certain immunosuppressants, get a pharmacist review first. If you notice sudden bleeding, severe dizziness, or fainting, seek medical care urgently.
Reflection. I love that this keeps food joyful while honoring safety. One small swap or consistent portion can make a big difference, and you don't have to give up flavor.
Key takeaways. Understand whether your meds are food sensitive. Avoid grapefruit and St. John's wort unless cleared by a pharmacist. Keep vitamin K intake consistent with anticoagulants. And use the one change micro-trial with the checklist. And remember, the evidence evolves, so check in with your pharmacist for updates.
Final clinical note. Your care team is on your side. These conversations are routine. Bring your checklist, bring your questions, and we'll help you find delicious, safe ways to eat and still meet your medical needs. And if you're unsure about a specific herb, supplement, or food, call your pharmacy. They can check enzyme interactions and advise whether a lab test or monitoring is needed before you make it part of your routine.
Try the one-pot dinner this week. Take a photo or a 15 to 60-second voice note, tag @EarthyRemedy on Instagram, or send us a voice message. Download the interaction checklist and timing chart in the show notes to take with you to your pharmacist.
We'll also pin a few scripts in the show notes you can use when you call your pharmacist or clinician. If this episode helped you feel more confident, subscribe so you don't miss future practical, evidence-based guides.
Listen to your body. Trust the earth. Feel the difference. Thank you to Dr. Maya Patel and Dr. Luis Moreno for joining us today. See you next time.